All right, so I'm making this video because there's a lady from our church back in America who's asking me about learning Hebrew. And in this video, basically what I want to do is I want to give away for you, the watcher of this video, if you have a desire to learn the biblical languages, I want to give you a way where you can essentially learn the biblical languages somewhat on your own, basically, by using the resources that God has graciously allowed us to have in this day and age. And so what I want to do is I want to give you a method whereby you could learn the biblical languages. Okay? So first of all, there's Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. So number one is you got to decide what language you want to use. I highly recommend people learn Hebrew. Obviously, I think people should learn both Hebrew and Greek, but I think Hebrew is good because there's not a lot of people a lot of people will study Greek but not Hebrew. So Hebrew is kind of like the neglected language, and so I would encourage people to. I don't know. Everybody's different. They have their different things, but Hebrew will definitely help you. And if you're going to learn both, I would recommend doing Hebrew first, for various reasons that I'm not going to get into this video, but whatever. So you've decided you want to learn your language, okay? So regardless of the language that you learn, okay, the first thing that you're going to do is you are going to subscribe to videos from either the Daily Dose of Hebrew or the Daily Dose of Greek, okay? So what you do is you can go to their website, Daily Dose of Hebrew. You can go down to right here where it says sign up, and then you put your email in, and what they do is they send you a video where they read through either a verse of the Bible in Hebrew or Greek. They go and the instructor talks about different things to point out. This is very good for learning how to read. It's very good for maintaining. Okay, every day I get these videos and I watch them every day. Okay, and they're only 2 minutes long. So this will help you learn the language. Okay. This will help you to learn how to read it because they'll read it for you on the screen. They highlight things, they draw, they write things out. So the first thing you want to do is for whichever language you want to learn, go and sign up for either Daily Dose of Hebrew or Daily Dose of Greek. Then I'm going to recommend that eventually you're going to learn the letters. But and by the way, if you follow my method, if you spend only about maybe like an hour and 10 minutes a day, you can learn, okay? You could just do like 5 days a week. Like you can learn like all the basics of Hebrew grammar in like 3/4 of a year, okay? And Greek, I would estimate about the same, okay? Probably even if you're slower, as long as you're spending the time, you could probably do the basics in about a year, okay? So first thing is, number one, sign up for Daily Dose of Hebrew and Greek. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start reading the Bible in the languages. Now, when you first start, obviously you have to learn the letters first. Immediately once you start learning the letters, start reading. Now, there's different ways to read. Some people like to just read the text, a simple printed Hebrew and Greek text. You can get that from Trinitarian Bible Society. You can get interlinears. Okay, it's harder to find interlinears based on the Greek Textus Receptus, but they are out there, things like that. But my favorite way to read the Bible in the biblical languages is using Logos Bible software, okay? Because now if you look on the screen, one of the things I like about Logos Bible software is notice how when I hover my mouse, look on the bottom of the screen, I have parsing information. Now, a lot of people use eSword. Some people will use eSword. And a lot of people are familiar with the King James text with the plus, where you can pull up some of the definitions. Now, number one, in Hebrew, for some reason, Hebrew and eSword doesn't have vowel pointing. It's very hard to read. You can see the points underneath the vowels here. You don't have those on here, okay? So, Logos is better for that. But also, Bereshit is actually not one word, it's two. You can see on the bottom left, it's a preposition, and Bereshit is actually 2 words. The eSword text only gives you Reshith, the beginning. It doesn't tell you even that this is actually 2 words. You see this This is a preposition. It means in. But a sheet. Also, this doesn't give you any grammar information. It tells you just the meaning of word. If you go like, you can see here on the bottom on this that bara is kal. Katal, it means it's a perfect tense form of the word. It tells you it's third person masculine. You get a significant amount more of information if you read the Hebrew Bible on Logos Bible software. Okay, so I recommend downloading Logos Bible software. The Lexham Hebrew Bible might even be a free resource. The other thing you can get on Lexham Hebrew, the Hebrew Bible is like you get this exegetical guide. It's called exegetical guide where you can get a lot of information here. Okay, I recommend the Lexham Research Lexicon. The Lexham Research Lexicon is very good. That's this right here. Okay, you can see. So when I like to read, and by the way, you can also read on mobile. Okay, I'm just doing this on my computer because I'm making the video. When I read, instead of clicking, I can tap word. You can tap words, and it'll bring up some information. But I try to read it without using my things on the bottom. And then if I really don't know a word, so like on the computer, you could double click this word. It'll bring up a definition. Okay, and the Lexham dictionary entries are very simple. That's why I like them. But also the Hebrew Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament is very good. It's a little expensive. And then for the Greek, also the Greek Lexham Research Lexicon and BDAG, BDAG is a good lexicon. You probably have to buy those. I think you might even have to buy the research lexicons. But I recommend the Lexham Research Lexicons are very good, especially if you're a beginner, because the entries are they're just very simple. Like you can see here, this is for a word, and they have full dictionary definitions. That's one of the things that I like is it's not just a gloss, to do or act, and then it gives you like an actual sentence definition. Okay, so you're going to get your daily dose videos. You're going to watch that, and then I would recommend 10 minutes a day. Just read the Hebrew Bible or the Greek New Testament, whatever language that you're using. Just read for 10 minutes. When you first start out, you're not going to understand a lot. Maybe you're just memorizing the sounds. You might want to get, like, the nice thing about this is, even I think on Lexham even you can get interlinear function. Okay, not on here, but maybe even when you first start, you can buy an interlinear. Just read the Hebrew or the Greek text for 10 minutes a day. Okay, now, for the actual learning, I'm going to recommend that there's 3 things that you're going to get, okay? I'm just going to use Hebrew as an example. You're going to get Basics of Biblical Hebrew textbook, and I personally recommend getting it on Logos, okay? You can get, and so if you're going to do Greek, then do Greek, the Basics of Biblical Greek. Both of these are published by Zondervan. Okay. Now, the nice thing about, I think Logos they have a Hebrew and Aramaic bundle, whatever. Okay. So you're going to download the grammar. I recommend downloading the grammar. I recommend getting a digital edition, and you're going to see why here in a minute. So here's my digital edition of Basics of Biblical Hebrew. So you're going to get the Basics of Biblical Hebrew textbook. Then you're going to get the Basics of Biblical Hebrew workbook. For the workbook, I recommend that you it's because I'm not in America, it's showing me I would recommend getting the 3rd edition, by the way. Okay, so you're going to get the workbook. I recommend getting a physical edition because you can write in it. You can, I think, get a digital edition on Logos, but it's a little clunky. It's just easier to have an actual workbook, okay? Then you want to make sure there's an answer key. So you can see right here is the Basics of Biblical Hebrew workbook answer key. Okay, so you have your grammar, the textbook, you have the workbook, and you should have the answer key, okay? So basically one more thing. Then you'll want to there's lectures. Basic, so of course it's going to be on log. I'm just going to look them up on Logos just so you can see. So these are video lectures. Okay? So you want to learn, and by the way, you can get in Greek basics of biblical Greek. So whatever language you're doing, I'm just using Hebrew as an example. Okay? It's a little, I guess, $150. Ooh, that's a little expensive, but it's totally worthwhile. By the way, please see the video on my channel. It's on is learning the biblical languages worthwhile. Okay, I'll put a link to the description in that. Watch that. Okay, so you have the lectures, you have a grammar, you have the workbook, and you have the answer key. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to watch the lecture. So the first lecture might be on, say it's on the basics of writing, and chapter 1's the alphabet. Watch the lecture, then read that chapter, okay? Read it in the textbook, okay? He's going to explain some things, okay? And now, as you're going through this, okay, you're going to use Anki, okay? Anki. Okay. Now, with Anki, you can make your own flashcards. Okay, so I would hit add here. And then, so like the reason why I say to get a digital edition is, for example, you can copy this letter directly from your screen. You can paste it. You could say it's a bet and it's B as in boy sound. Okay. And then I'm going to give you an example of how Anki works. Okay. Now, the nice thing about this is like then when you get into like memorizing actual forms, okay, you can just copy things. You could just paste it. You can just paste things, okay? And let me explain Anki to you, okay? Anki uses what's called a space repetition system for learning. So these are my cards that I personally made for our people to learn Greek. So what you do is you look at this. This is an alpha. If you know,
alpha.
By the way, you can even add audio. Okay. So if you didn't know what it is, you hit again. Okay. If you know what it is, you hit good or easy if you recognize it. And what this does is this program, it causes you to see words. Like it tries to predict right when you're going to forget something and then lets you see it again. Okay. So when you first start, it's a lot of, oh, I don't know this again. Oh, I don't know this. There's a lot of that, okay? But eventually it learns when you're about to forget a word, and there's a whole algorithm. I'm not going to explain it, but it's based on real-time studies with memory and recall. You know, the idea of like, so say you want to learn the alphabet. So you're just going to sit here and just look at this list over and over again. That's a very poor way to learn in terms of long-term retention. And just know that Anki, okay, they've already come up with a way that's profitable and it's efficient. So like if you know a card, you know a word or whatever that you're memorizing, it's not going to keep showing it to you every day. It's going to show it to you strategically. At times, like basically it tries to predict right when you're going to forget. Okay? So you'll make your own cards. You can have multiple decks. Okay? Which you can play around with Anki and figure it out on your own. But actually, so if you type in Anki, Basics of Biblical Hebrew Vocab, somebody actually already made vocabulary cards these are for the vocabulary words. These are not for the grammatical forms, like you're not going to find codes for the letters. But you can actually, if you go down here, you can download this to your computer and then you open it with the Anki. Anki is for iOS. It's for Android. It's also for the computer. Whatever you want to do it, you download it on your device. And then you install this, okay? So, depending on whatever language you're working on, okay? Also, by the way, somebody made, and I'll actually put links to these Anki. Somebody actually made cards for This is not the right one. Somebody did make cards for all of the biblical Hebrew and Greek words. See, all Bible Greek vocab, okay? Now, I work on this. I wouldn't recommend doing these ones until you have the actual from the grammar, because you need to have the grammar at the end of each chapter in your grammar. Well, I don't think the grammar actually starts till like the words start in chapter 4. This is a list of vocabulary, right? So you need this in order to do your workbook exercises. So, and by the way, I'm going to re-summarize everything at the end. So if you're lost, I'm just kind of showing you things. So, like for example, here, see this is textbook. Let me show you the Greek. This is the basics of biblical Hebrew grammar, okay? That is this. I'm going to put links to these so you can find them. So these are all, somebody may already made cards for all of these words. These are just for the words, okay? So here's what you're going to do is you're going to listen to the lecture for your chapter. So first chapter might be on the alphabet. Then you're going to read your chapter on the alphabet. Okay? And then what you need to do is you need to work on your vocabulary. Okay? So I'm going to recommend, so you have the textbook grammar, textbook vocabulary. Okay? I would recommend doing about, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes a day of this Anki vocabulary, okay? But you'll need to make your own. So, for example, they don't have anything for the letters. Anything that you need to learn, you'll make your own flashcards, okay? So I have a deck here. You can create a deck. Yours might only be Hebrew textbook and vocab. You might do 15 minutes of the textbook vocab, and then you might make your own cards. You can call it whatever you want. Like here I have Hebrew assigned cards. You can make your own cards. So if there's something you want to remember, anything that you read and they're like, you need to learn this, you need to copy it and make a card. Because nobody's going to make these cards for you. There's nobody who already made all the cards that you need to know. Okay, so what you do is, so bear with me. So you've watched your lecture, you've read your textbook. Now you need to go through your textbook and make flashcards for anything that the person told you to make a card. In fact, if they tell you need to memorize something, you might just pause your lecture and go into Anki and make the card of whatever it is that you need to do. Okay? Teacher says, remember this means X. And then you put whatever, okay? So say you're learning Hebrew and he's like, the call stem in Hebrew means what? And then you might say, it means complete action. Okay? This is the best way to learn. Okay? So it's very simple now. So now in the workbook there are workbook exercises. Okay? And I think in the lectures he probably explains how to go through these workbook exercises. Okay? So let's say on Monday you watch your lecture, it might take 30 minutes, you make your flashcards, takes you an hour, whatever. Okay, so you've done your flashcards, you've made your flashcards, you've read your textbook chapter on the lecture. So the next day, what you're going to do is, every day, you're going to watch your 2-minute video from Daily Dose of Greek or Hebrew, whichever language you're doing. Okay? Then you're going to spend about 15 minutes on the textbook vocabulary. And then you want to do another 15 minutes of your own flashcards that you made. Okay? So you're doing about 30 minutes of Anki every day. And it's very important that you're consistent with that. You don't learn languages by cramming, okay? Then you're going to do the workbook exercise. Now, I don't have a digital workbook exercise, but the exercises are there. So for your chapter 1, you do your workbook exercises, and you check each exercise after you do it. You check it with your grammar book. And by the way, the grammar book for both Hebrew, Basics of Biblical Hebrew and Greek, they have a lexicon in the back that you can make use of when you are trying to do your exercises. Like, see, here it is. These are for words that appear in the workbook exercises, okay? So then basically you just do it, and once you finish your once you finish the workbook exercise, you move on to the next chapter and you start the series again. And the nice thing about this is you can go at your own pace until you finished the workbook exercises. Okay? So again, let me just start all over, okay? And by the way, you can get all these same things. So what you need to do is you need to download Anki, okay? And I'm going to put links to whichever language you're learning, the vocabulary for the workbook textbook, and you want to start working on the textbook, the vocab, and you want to make your own cards as you go through your grammar book, okay? So let's say it's Monday, okay? Every day you want to watch your daily dose of Hebrew or Greek video. I get them in my email. In fact, I think this one red notification I have is the Hebrew email just went out. So you watch your 2-minute video, spend about 10 minutes reading the biblical language actual text, whether it's the Hebrew Old Testament or the Greek New Testament, okay? So you spent 12 minutes now. Now, open up your Anki. Work on your textbook vocab. Adam. Okay. I don't remember. You say, I don't remember what it means. So, it means man. I didn't know that. So you hit again. That means you didn't know it. Oh, Eretz. I know that means ground. Easy. Okay? Depending on what you select on the bottom that's gonna help. It's gonna specially make your reviews for you every day. Okay? So you just do these. Okay? So you'll do 15 minutes of the textbook vocab, 15 minutes of your, mine's called assigned cards. These are the cards that you make yourself. You're going to have to make them when you're learning the verbal system. There's lots of forms and things that you have to memorize. Your lecturer will tell you what things you need to memorize. Okay? And so at this point, if you've watched the 2-minute video, okay, you've read the Hebrew or Greek, whatever language you're studying, you've read the biblical language textbook. For 10 minutes, you spent about 30 minutes split between textbook vocab and your own cards that you've made. That's 42 minutes that you spent. Now spend about 20 minutes trying to do your workbook exercises, okay? You should be able to get through most chapters in about 2 weeks. If you're slow, 2 weeks is pretty slow. If you do 2 weeks, you should be able to go through the whole Hebrew or Greek grammar. You should be able to do it in a little bit over a year if you're slow. If you're faster, you could probably do it in about 3/4 of a year. Okay, so this is simple. Okay, you can shoot me an email at Goye, Goye, Jordan, Jordan, Kurecki @gmail.com. Goye, Jordan, Kurecki @gmail.com. If you have any questions, I would love to help anybody learn the language. I'm in Uganda currently, but if you have questions, I myself have studied the biblical languages. I basically learned the biblical languages in a format similar to this. My lectures were not the official Zondervan lectures, though. I had a professor that I was able to send emails to and ask questions and things like that. Please, if you're interested, this is a way that anybody can learn languages. You only have to pay for you have to spend $150, $40 for the grammar. So maybe another $20 for the workbook. You can find, obviously, the answer key you can find here for free. See how it has all these answers in red? Okay. So it's very easy. I'll put links. I'm going to put links to the Logos. I like Logos for the reasons that I listed earlier. I just think it's very, very great for learning the languages. I like to read as I go through, And if I can't remember or I'm confused about a form, you just hover your mouse over it or click it. Okay, so everything that most of the resources I'm going to link are being Logos. You don't have to do it this way. This is just a way that I think is very easy to learn the languages. So again, let me just one more time state the method is that you will watch a lecture on basics of biblical Greek or Hebrew or Greek, whatever it is, whichever language it is that you're learning. Watch your video lecture from Zondervan. Read the chapter in the grammar. Okay. Read the corresponding chapter in the grammar. Okay. As you read the grammar or you listen to the lecture, make sure you make your own flashcards for those things that you want to remember. You don't have to do that for the vocabulary because somebody already made the vocabulary for you. You can do it if you want to do it, okay? I mean, if you're like one of those people, they actually say a good way to learn is to actually make your own flashcards. So maybe you might want to do that, okay? It's up to you. I'll link to them. They're already made if you want to use them, okay? So basically, again, watch the lecture, read the grammar book, and then you work through the workbook. And every single day, you watch a daily dose of Hebrew or Greek video, you read your biblical language, the biblical actual text for about 10 minutes. You spend about 30 minutes using Anki to keep up with vocabulary and to learn your flashcards. And then you spend about 15, 20 minutes a day working on the workbook. Okay, I found for me, it takes me about an hour and a half of total time to get through each workbook exercise. And it takes me probably about 1 or 2 hours total of working in Anki to memorize what I need to for each chapter. Okay. And so this is a way that you can learn the languages. I'm going to put links to things in the notes. Again, you don't have to get things through Logos Bible software. I'm just very integrated with Logos Bible software. You don't have to do it. I highly, highly, highly recommend using Anki. I cannot emphasize enough how much better it is to use Anki. When I first started learning the biblical languages, I made physical flashcards. I did the whole, let me just stare at this chart and try to learn it by staring at it. It wasn't very effective. My learning got a lot better once I started using Anki. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, any comments, anything, please comment, please like, please subscribe this video if you've liked this content. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by email. I would love to help you, guide you as you begin your own journey of learning the actual biblical languages, okay? So thank you for watching this video and have a nice day.